There are very few people that are only Republican or only Democrat.
I think the majority of the country is in the middle.
The divide is there, but I think it's manufactured.
Yeah, it's to distract us.
I think most Americans want the same things. But we're taught to believe and told to believe that we're at odds with each other.
If you stop for a minute and talk to most people, you'll find that you do have more in common with them than you don't. As somebody who ran a nonpartisan race, it was really interesting to be accused of a socialist, liberal tax and spender, or a crazy fascist, Republican, neo-Nazi.
I'll vote either way, depending on what issues are important to me at that point. Again, I have a different perspective being a first-generation American. I saw my immigrant parents come over here and work hard and control their own destiny. But you do have a lot of people here in this country that take the freedom for granted and blame everything outside of themselves as far as why they are not where they want to be.
People want to belong to a group, and they want to have a team, and we want to have someone to dislike or hate, or wherever you fall on, your how extreme you decide to be as an individual.
It's a matter of feeding you what you want to hear. The unemployment rate was up. That's why you couldn't get a job, because hey, the unemployment rate's at 11%. That's why you couldn't get a job. Oh yeah, that's why I couldn't get a job. You had a Democratic president. This is why these things happen. They had these rules, welfare, things like that. I'm sure you guys are all tired of welfare. Yeah, we're tired of it. Yeah, well, Democratic Party, it's all about that. That's why your city and county has ran out of money. It might have been something that's probably deep in your subconscious mind, but then it highlights it, brings it up to the forefront of your mind. And again, you're like, yeah, build that wall.
And we're taught that divide is there because of race. We're taught that divide is there because of abortion or women's rights or immigration. We exaggerate lots of these issues to get folks to just, instead of listening to their friend talk who thinks differently, assume that either they're ignorant or they're evil.
Because you support Trump, you're a member of the KKK. If you support Hillary Clinton, you love murdering babies. It's like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Like, you can't support Hillary Clinton but be anti-abortion? Yeah, you can.
I was a candidate that was a little bit of both the right and the left, and that made people afraid to come out and polarize me on one side, because they wanted to call out what they thought was wrong or incorrect about my opinions. And that's a result of us feeling the need to belong to a group rather than the need to identify with people because we have common ground.
It's important that we're odds with each other, because that creates the need for the ability for politicians to compete with one another, and to have these competing agendas at the top show a stark difference between us as Americans, so that then we can vote certain ways and put them in office and give them power. But when somebody who identifies as a Republican or a Democrat says something that you should agree with, just agree with it. But most of the time we'll say, well, it's his angle. He's not like me. But we should be saying, okay, there's common ground, let's talk.
Some people will say, I identify with this and I'll never waver from that. Then there's some, I guess, like me. I have many different perspectives, gathering information from many different points of view.
We'd rather believe what we're seeing on TV and what we're reading and seeing other people tell us than what our actual experience is. And I don't know why we're willing to do that. One little element in the news, we'll get incredibly outraged over it. But we're not that different. I have lots of friends that are extremely conservative, some on the fringes, that when they're confronted with an Arab guy who talks to them and makes common sense, they're suddenly a lot more reasonable.
If politics was less about the political affiliation you held, you'd see people in Congress saying, well, who agrees with this central idea? And then from there, you would have people of all kinds of backgrounds saying, yeah, actually I do really agree with, decriminalizing this or approving this or legalizing that. And then all of a sudden your party affiliation's irrelevant. But party politics keep bipartisanship in check. That's the point. The party politics serve as a division.
It's done to split people up so that they're fighting amongst themselves, and they're not the decision makers. And the decision makers cause that chaos for a purpose. Because if we're fighting amongst ourselves, then the guys that really make those decisions up here, our attention's not on them.
Okay, here's 4 Republicans, here's 4 Democrats, and you've got to be friends, and you've got to oppose and support the same thing so that you're just completely separate from each other, and good luck getting anything done. You know, that's the truth of the matter. You don't get anything done.
Right. So the issues definitely get lost. You know, first 100 days, whether it can happen or can't happen, the idea of term limits is attractive to me. I don't care if it's Donald Trump. You know, we got to be careful that we don't get so emotionally fired up that this guy said this about Mexicans, and he said this about these people, that when he has a good idea, or idea that is worthwhile for all of us, that we just don't throw it out too. We can't throw it out. We have to be careful about that. And that's identity politics. That's one of the biggest problems with racial tensions is the self-segregation. In politics, we self-segregate as well. We don't like to be confronted with opposing ideas.
That's the whole point of this grand experiment, is to show up and elect somebody that represents you. And if enough of us show up to do that, then we'll really get the best candidate that will do the best job for people.
Democrat or Republican or conservative or liberal or, you know, whatever. We're willing to go with them based on this identity. And that's foolish.
Budget, which has risen and fallen with the political winds. But we can also see it in other ways, in the reluctance of those who hold office to set clear, achievable objectives, to provide the resources to meet those objectives, and to justify not just these